Hey guys, welcome back.
Battle started.
So what do we have here, folks? I am back all up in the noob lobby. Now this is a 4v4. So kind of a more tactical game. Not one of those big, beautiful 8v8s where it's just mad chaotic. Everyone's got them crazy roles. Having to play in those roles. This is just a straight up 4v4. This map, I can't recall if I've actually played this map before or not, but I do like it. Aesthetically, it's quite nice. There is no wind. There is no wind. Something that you got to keep an eye on, right? Zero whatsoever. So solos all the way, something to be cognizant about. However, the metal spots are fantastic, really good, and because the terrain in on itself is very flat, very flat. It leads itself really nice to go into vehicles. You've got great metal. Okay, energy is a little bit of a problem because of the lack of wind, but you could bypass that. And I feel like, you know, vehicles is you kind of get so much bang for your buck going into these. So look, as it's a 4v4, I've just stuck it into player view so you can see what we were seeing, right? You know, I've got a homie over here who's not that far from me, although it is a little bit of a distance. And we've got two homies up in the north that are very close to each other as well. I always worry about like positions this too far back, because sometimes you just don't know if the homie just wants the eco. But in a 4v4 like this, everyone's got to be front, you know, something to keep in mind. That does mean we have this sort of barren land, dead land in the center there, but that's not going to be too much of a problem. We just got to make sure that for both our sort of sub teams, we've got to be cognizant of the north, they've got to be cognizant of the southern region. Now I'm sending out a whole bunch of rovers. I'm sending them out because in my view, if they are noobs like me in my very early noob days, you know, I was really bad at scouting. I still am bad at scouting, let's be real. However, I've gotten a bit better at it. I mean, I'm still bad because I send them out and then I forget that I've actually sent scouts and I go back to working on my lab. But look, now we know that they've got a player here. That's important. So this guy's got a, you know, he's got a lane opponent. My scouts aren't dead, and this is what I mean where I'm still bad. I'm neglectful. That's the sort of person I am. I neglect these I neglect my creatures, man. That ain't right. Now we know light blue is here. Now what's important about scouting, because you might turn around, for those of you who are new to bar, you might turn around and say, well, you're gonna know where the players are anyway, aren't you? I mean, they're gonna roughly, you know, mirror your own players. That's true. But what scouting does give you, so we've scouted pretty much, you know, three out the four. Yeah, 3 out the 4. But what scouting is telling you is where are the most skillful players and the least skillful players. That's what it's really telling you, right? And that's where you may want to plan your assault. But likewise, if their most skillful player is on the same lane as your least skillful player, you know, actually, you know what, that homie is going to need a little bit of support to get through and to survive the game. So it's really important. For example, for any of you who watched my, you know, Metal Mayhem video, that was an 8v8, and when I sent scouts out and realized, hang on a minute, they've got, you know, certain weak links, I can exploit that. It was so beneficial for us as a team because we were able to attack constantly those least skillful players, and we got, you know, great value. We kind of took a couple of players out of the game very early on. So I've gotten a few mexes, so, you know, I made some blunders, you know, ran into a few LLTs or beamers, you know, attacking a unit that was being repaired by a nano. Never great. So learn from me, guys, don't do that. Now whilst this thing is busy building an LLT, I might as well take some hits on it. He's gonna try to reclaim me, which ain't great. You know, I was hoping I could have killed this before The reclamation has begun. But I don't think that's gonna happen. Yeah, I got reclaimed. But like I said, you know, the benefits of the scouting is knowing, one, where your enemies are in case they're playing any funny plays, but most importantly, you know, the skill level of that player. So I got the homie doing some excellent communication. Shout out to Jetstream, all up in that hot pink. So I first moved my commander up here because you know, it's more the central point of the map typically. So I went in here, you know, built a bunch of LLTs. I was making some mexes along the way. Thought, yep, I really want to capture these because I'm trying to pump out. Vehicles. I need them. And also, I wanted to make a forward lab. That's what I really wanted to do. Bit ambitious, putting down these blueprints for the HLTs, but because I saw that these guys had gone into bots, why not? You know, as much as I'm not a big fan of HLTs, you know, if the enemy team have gone into bots, even if one of them has, you're going to get a lot of value out of these HLTs, because what they're going to be carrying on is their rocket bots to try and take down your LLTs from range. If I've got enough blitzes to go and make things dirty, you know, and I've got some HLTs, hey, they're not really going to push me, man. You know, you're going to do really well. So it looks like they're going for that little bit of ticks. Now where they've messed up is they would have spotted some dots when they move these ticks forward, and they would have thought, let me go and attack. What they really should have done, and so take these learnings for the new players out there, go to the base, go to your enemy's base, hit them where it hurts, because it's very hard for new players, and I'm one of them, to be able to look after what I'm trying to do here in the front lines and my base at the same time. I'll have to divert focus. So keep that in mind. Now I've taken the mechs over here. I've got this constructor just building up some solars. One of the things I learned is, you know what, I much prefer just making tier 1 solars rather than advanced solars, because honestly they just take too long, too much metal. Yeah, I don't think there's great value. I mean, these cost 0 energy to make, and you just pump them out. Especially if you've got a vehicle constructor, you could just really pump them out. Let's see what Jetstream the homie's doing. He's got a lot of build power, probably more than what he needs for bot lab for tier 1. But that's all good. I mean, you know, he's still getting units out, which is nice, and they're moving forward, which is great. So I don't want to be up here alone, because I could see these dots. You know, I do believe I made a radar, because I can see these dots. I don't like the idea of these things being here. I set in some of my blitzes to go and see what these were about. I assumed that they were going to be pawns. They were just ticks, nice and easy. But it's telling me something. So he's now looking. It's interesting. He's moving up. He probably doesn't. Well, how much does he know? Doesn't know too much. I mean, because I set my units in there to take them out, he's not going to know that I've got my commander this far up forward. But he knows I have units. He's probably going to be quite cautious in terms of his play. And if I can pick up on that cautiousness, that's going to be great for me. Let's see what Green's doing, the Stalker. Okay. You know, he would have had to invest in this beamer quite early on, because he probably didn't want any further harassment coming into his base, which is great idea. But if you notice, he you know, serious lack of units, loads of constructors, lots of defense, lack of units. I mean, I reckon if we did another scouting run, that's something I feel maybe I need to put into my play a little bit more. Another scouting run would have shown us that, okay, Green, very weak, Green. Now, I assumed, because look, I was getting really great trades here, There's not so much a rocket bot can do against, you know, a battalion, you know, even if it was 3 blitzes. I mean, it's not too much they can do. But I felt as though purple wasn't that strong, and I can do really well. If I can get a decent enough force, be a little bit aggressive, push the point, I could do really well. But had I scouted and saw Green in the situation they're in, 0 units, I would have just ignored. Oh, he's going straight into tier 2. That's a gamble. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of on me. I really feel like, you know what, I should have gone for a second scout. Yo, guys, more experienced players of you out there who watch my videos or who just happen to be watching this videos, do you guys do like a second early scout to pick up on things like this, where, you know, you've got this player here who I'm amazed he managed to pull off this, supposed because of the metal, right? Because of the metal income is really, really good. Yeah, he's able to pull this off with this really early economy, you know, without having to get the metal out of the commander. Oof! Big kill. Big kill. Purple's gone down. Centurions are going to be difficult. So yeah, this is what I mean. Look, because I was a bit aggressive, I kept on moving up with my commander. I made sure that I was, you know, reinforcing my units with some LLTs, because I figured if he moves up with stronger units, I'll just move my guys back to the LLTs. I'm eating up his corpse, and while I'm doing that, might as well use it, right? I want to get my own tier 3. Tier 3. Yeah. I wish. My own tier 2 lab. Now, I'm never the biggest fan of making a forward tier 2, but I'm getting really good exchanges off here. Really good exchanges. Now, because I feel like I just feel like I'm doing really well against my opponent, I'm not that worried about that lab being overexposed and being taken out. I feel like I'm gonna do good. I know he's got Centurions because, you know, I've been attacked a few times and I've had some engagements with my own units. But again, you know, my energy isn't too bad. I mean, it's not great, it isn't too bad, but I've got enough to kind of cover them. If they get too close, you know what's gonna happen? You know what's gonna happen here? D-gun to the face. That's what's gonna happen. A mace, no problem. That's gonna go down. Cool. Come on, throw another Centurion here. I'll take care of that. The Centurion's a heavy investment for an Armada bot player. Heavy investment. I mean, he's got good build power. I wouldn't have known that at the time. And he's pumping them out. He's really pumping them out nicely. I would have loved to have been able to repair these guys. You know, something I messed up on. That's good. One of the great things about, you know, having missile trucks, rocket bots, the range, really great. It means I don't have to worry about that LLT. Like, if I miss micro my units a fair bit, I'm not going to run into that. These Centurions do so well. Look at that. I'm trying to move these back so I can get the range advantage. I'm trying to repair. Not happening. I do have to be a little bit cautious about Centurion. Like, if there's more than one, you know, if they're in a gang and they're flexing their colors, I gotta be worried. Gotta be worried. But vehicles should be faster. I mean, I can't see these guys at all. What a shot! Beautiful. What I don't like is the thought of leaving this wreck field. Yeah, look, he's coming in already. I don't like the thought of that. See, green, he still hasn't really made any units. I feel now, like, when I'm looking back at this and I can see more, I really feel like I should just wait for green. You know, if like, everyone's hindsight's 2020, right? He's getting the wreck. You know, that's bad. That's on me, because I've got enough units here that I could have bust him up. You might have noticed a jag. That means I've got at least tier 2 coming out early. I say early, but I've got some tier 2 units here. Now that's really good. Now green is making some units. Was I aware of this? Did I know? No, I did not. Let's see what our homie up over here is doing. See, I'm not the biggest fan of this. Like, you know, hey Jetstream, bro, I ain't trying to be overcritical or nothing, because you know, I don't know your train of thought, but 2 tier 1 bot labs, you know, when we have such great metal. Actually, he does have a tier 2. That's nice. Okay, cool. But this is a lot of things being built. I'd just stop building with this lab, because you got 2 front labs, two labs at the front. You're able to get units out over here a lot quicker than you know, trying to build with this and them going through that journey. So maybe it's something to keep in mind over there. This is nice. I do like this. This is going to cover the flank positions, which is great. What's happening here? Yo, Atlas Clear is doing a great job. He's doing a great job. You know what? I've got to give an early shout out to the opposition blue player, Sky. He was a great player. I mean, you will see this as we go through the journey here. So it's taking it back over here. Now purple, I figured, okay, I've got some units here. I don't want to get this guy to be too comfortable. I don't want to give him too much time to cook. I don't want to give him too much time to cook. And I've noticed, and I believe the pings are for their comm. So basically these pings are for my buddy nearest to me. You know, I need him to see that, look, if I'm pinging, it means there's a point of interest, right? I'm either in trouble or there's something that we need to that we could work on. With the army that the homie has here, if he worked with me, I feel like we could take green out. I thought, I got a good exchange off here. I want to send some units forward. He went into the triple stack, the triple threat. He went into like 3 LLTs here, which we did great for him. But I just needed to see a little bit more about what's he got cooking up. What does he have cooking up over here?
Commander has died.
I don't want this guy getting too brave. I don't like the thought of him just having a ton of LLTs over here. I need to start thinning this out. In case he gets any brave ideas about just running up to me and degunning my own LLTs, I am going a little bit excessive. But also, I don't like the thought of because I know purple was going heavy Centurions. I would have thought he would relax on that, but he's doubled down on it. He's doubled down on it. And as you can see, look, Centurions, they really do knock out LLTs nicely. Coming up for that D-gun, I believe. Beautiful. Nice. Nice. I tried to D-gun this thing and I couldn't really see it. But this Centurion was getting some really nice hits off from range. I don't know. I feel like the Centurions might have had a boost to their range a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I feel like it. I had to go into Predator mode. I had to go into come on, do it. Oh my god, sorry about that, guys. Trying to do an Arnie impression and just went wrong. Maybe that's a sign. Don't do it. I still have this blitz. I got this blitz living his life behind enemy lines. Right. So now I know green is putting some focus down here. He had to kind of help his homie out. From the mini map, I can see that, you know, Pink is being very cautious, very cautious play, and I don't advise this. So homie, if you're watching, please like take some you know, learnings from this. Units, sending them in one by one, it's never a good idea. Never a good idea, and I think you know that anyway, right? Because you get this, you know, one single LLT, you're just gonna lose units. That's just the fact of it. Just gonna lose units. Nice, you know, corpse, stringer corpse. So again, any new players watching, you know, don't do single unit pushes. Pointless. They achieve nothing. You need a you need a composition. Bar, one of the best things about bar is compositions. You want to build a series, a good, you know, squadron of units, different unit types. Those grunts, had they been sent here to complement these guys, even 5 of them, and then send them in, knockout. Look, I'm still having to deal with this. I've got some units in the back. I basically sent them somewhere right down here first, and then I look to move them in. So with new players, and this was a noob lobby, this was a noob game. You know, the thing that typically happens is perhaps too much caution. Too much caution. If you don't attack your enemy, if you don't have some aggression going on, right? You know, you're giving them too much respect. Too much respect. Like when green is fighting me, Jetstream, you know, it's got to be cognizant that, okay, green's busy. My lane opponent is busy fighting my comrade down the bottom. Now, if I'm not gonna necessarily send units to help, it does mean that green's base isn't being looked at. Green's base is weak. Now, another learnings that we could take, when you've got rocket bots or rocket vehicles or whatever, they always outrange LLTs. And when you've got vision on where an LLT is, it does leave the attack radius. Just have your, like this, look, but be cognizant. Just move them around like that, and then all of them can shoot this down. You already know that this one's here, so then after you killed that, take these, move them around, even a simple, it doesn't need to be perfect, but just move them here and they'll knock out this LLT. And that's how you start making progress. Yeah, you get closer and closer to their base. Nice, okay, he's getting there. But look, now we showed them too much respect. They got a pulsar up. Too much respect. So that's not fantastic. What's my back base looking like? Energy, I'm still in a little bit of energy crisis. Thing is, I've still got units being pumped out of here. I'm making whistlers. I find that missile trucks are going to give me lots of value in this game, especially if I'm this close to the base. I've got a bit of siege units coming in, but Mausers, talking about siege units, right? Mausers, these are going to do great for me. They're going to do great for me. I'm sending in these units now. I want to get rid of these LLTs. I had enough of seeing them constantly there. I'm sending these into green because I wanted to test green's metal, because I felt as though, look, he's at least now a little bit busy with Jetstream, with pink, hot pink. Let me send my units into his base. Let me have a look. I want to see what he's about. Yeah, got rid of his build power. But I noticed, look, Aphis. I mentioned, so I've communicated. I'm pushing. I'm pinging. But again, take learnings. If your comrades are pinging, there's a reason why. So be cognizant. Like, this is an Aphis. If pink was to just attack with me, I've now highlighted, in text, it's an Aphis. If we can go pop, if we can pop this, it's GG's for green. Game over, 100%. 100%. But look, again, Jetstream, if you're watching, brother, I'm not trying to be hypercritical, but again, learn from this. There's no point in doing this, like, single units in a nice clean file. Nice clean file, so the static defense can just wipe them out. If look, Atlas, bro, if you're watching this, 100%, I know, man, I know, the Aphis is there. Like, if pink would have just pushed with me, or even after my units just got destroyed, like, even if he just went in there, he could have gotten amazing success. He could have done really well. And this is where, like, the communication is so important. Like, Jetstream, he communicated so well in the beginning. Excellent advice. When my commander was here, he said, no, go forward. So he knows about aggression. But I feel like every noob kind of goes through this phase of just being overly cautious. And maybe because the homie wanting to get into tier 2 and wanting to get tier 2 units out. I'm not necessarily completely against that, but I feel as though, look, even with tier 1s, you could still do so much damage to your opponent. Like, if you had moved these in, got those pyros, those fiends to get a surround from the back, GG's for that Aphis, no doubt about it. Right, I'm sending in some units now because I see him making that push. I want to help. Excellent. Now that's a team effort. That's what happens when you focus your efforts. That purple's worried. Purple's what answer does he have for any of this? Green is all but done. He's got his comm. So he can somewhat get back into the game. If this guy can give him, I don't know, constructors, maybe a couple of res bots or whatever, and if we take our foot off the pedal, they could potentially come back. So again, something for any of you guys watching that are new to bar, when you got the upper hand, don't take your foot, don't get too like tempted to think, ah, we done so well, you know what, let me just stop making units and eco because I want to get into tier 3. But if you do that, you're gonna, you know, you're gonna get you're giving an opportunity for your enemy to get back into the game. But with this, look, we're coming in for the kill. We took down green. Purple has fallen like pretty much immediately after. And to be fair, you know, the purple's biggest strength was his or hers Centurion play. But I feel like, you know, since I took their commander out early on, he's never really been the same. He's never really been the same. Another tip, guys, don't do this. You know, what you want to do is get a yeah. So I'm trying to advise, trying to give a little bit of help, because look, one D gun is gonna knock out nearly all of them, and they can't get shots off because look, his own units are blocking him.
Destroyed.
Thankfully, because this guy kind of gave up the ghost already, right? He gave up on life. He couldn't take these out. Otherwise, 2-3 D guns, he would have took that group out. I'm not sure why I was doing this. I think because I just wanted purple obliterated off the face of the face of the map. That's why I was sending them in. And I suppose that this just helps feed metal back into the overall blue team economy, which I didn't want. So we pretty much have this. Nice. There's me talking about don't give your team too much of a time to go into tier 3. This is acceptable. Why? Because we've already taken down green and purple. Our 2 lane players, we've dealt with them. What I would recommend for the homie is 2 things here. Eat up this corpse. Resurrect the Aphis. If you can get an Aphis without having to spend any metal, that is brilliant. I'm pinging. I'm trying to let the guy, homie, know that, look, you know, we've got a large battalion. Look, that's what I mean about blue. Look how impressive that is. This guy is fighting off 2 players, or maybe, you know, I haven't seen too much of orange. Yeah, I haven't seen too much of orange. Orange, you got, if you're gonna go into air, especially if it's a, okay, he's doing it. Make useful air. If you're not gonna be making gunships, make bombers, homie. What's better than this is construction turrets. So if you're watching it, make construction turrets. Reclaim the corpses that's in your base. You want to do that. Let's see what's going on over here. I feel like blue is getting a lot of value, and I'm, you know, I'm asking pink, look, help me. So communication. The thing with bar that you know, good teams. One is being able to communicate to your team when you need help, but also you need to be responding to that communication from your team, your squad mates. If I'm saying I need help, and you know, okay, now that I'm seeing it, right, he's having to do, but they're coming towards me. Like even the trajectory of their movement, look, they're coming towards me. So yeah, this guy's, you know, he's taking me out. He's trying to take me out of the game, and he's going to be successful, I feel, because, you know, he's got really good units. These are strong units. Trying to get some D guns off. You know, there's not too much I can do here. I need help, and yeah, it's tough because I didn't go into like heavy tower defense around here. I'm relying on my units to put in the work to do the job. He's trying to go for my comm, which is a great idea. Because it's a nuke, right? And look now, you know, because there's nothing to stop the enemy encroaching. You know, they're gonna come in, and I feel like blue's getting way too much value. I mean, for the blue player to get through the entire map, you know, it's kind of insane. Yeah. But look, again, I'm trying not to be hypercritical. It is a noob game and whatnot. But what I am focusing on, I don't know why the open skill isn't being shown. But look, you know, okay, Orange, he's really new to the game. You know, Jetstream might have just gotten his third Chev, so it is what it is. Atlas is putting in the work, I can see. But again, look, you got to be cognizant of the game itself, you know, and not. I know people can get into like build orders and build times and go crazy on it, but you can see this in the game. All the players bar Sky in the enemy team have checked out. It's 4-on-1. We don't need to go crazy into this. Like, you know, a whole bunch of tier 1 army will take care of him. But if we work as a team. But if we're just playing as like individuals, and we're allowing Sky to pick us off one by one, we're done for. Yeah, look, Sky's not wrong, man. We just couldn't see that in and he should be proud of himself, because he's getting a lot of value against us, because we're not really playing as a squad as we should be, Thankfully, you know, we did get that demon out of the tier 3 Cortex lab, which is going to be great. That's done enough to kind of make him worried a little bit. You know, shout out to Jetstream for giving me, you know, one demon, which is great. You know, since I lost my commander, I don't have a strong ability. But look, I wanna kind of I wanna go over and say hello to Blue. I wanna go say hello to the homie. So I'm sending the demon in. If you look at player view, couldn't really see what's here, but I figured this is going to be the safest path. If I can get the demon in here, I figured this is probably going to be his epicenter. But, you know, in actual fact, he kind of inherited this. I think this was his original base. But nevertheless, I feel as that there's going to be some economy here that I can put the hurt on. So I wanted to do that. Finally, we get some movement. And this is what I mean about aggression. Look, if you send units in, you're gonna hurt the economy. All these mexes that he's been enjoying, his eco is just going up and up and up and up and up. But look, quite easily, you could just stop that from happening. You can stop that from happening easily, super easily. Now, I'm trying to kind of get back onto my feet here a little bit. I've been so bad with my eco because, you know, in the game I didn't feel as though it was necessary to get too much into it, because we were making such great progress. You know, we're 4v1. I mean, like I said, we could have just made tier 1 units and taken out Sky. We just weren't focusing as a team. But also, Sky, shout out to you, man. I mean, look, you didn't give up. You didn't give up. You're still putting in the work. I mean, these brutes have been amazing for you, man. They've done such great work. Zars are out. This is the one unit that I was really hoping that I wouldn't come across. He's got an army of Zars. He was able to do a take command and take all the units that his teammates had left behind when they skedaddled from the game. So what that was in terms of the move, look, I put some units here because Blue was attacking. I didn't feel as though he had any backup around this area, so I moved some units over here. But he's just letting me know, hey, look, he wants to clearly use the space to build. That's all good. I'm gonna move him out. But look, one of the things that this escapade had shown me is they didn't really have too much here. Now, I made it very clear to the squad. This is nice. Yes, okay, sweet. Gunships and bombers. Nice. There is lots of anti-air now as well. So it's got avoid it. Like if you're playing air, just fly away. You don't need to fly back to your base. Yeah, just fly somewhere else. There's always going to be other targets that you can go for. You don't need to fight their anti-air. But this is nice. Now we're attacking on multiple fronts. When you've got this many squad mates and you're against one player, like, it shouldn't take less than it shouldn't take more than 5 minutes to take them out of the game. You know, you've got multiple angles of attack. He's one person. He's going to be overwhelmed. He won't be able to like micro every single angle. It's just for whatever reason, everyone was just wanting to eco. Nobody wanted to build units. So shout out to Orange, man. Shout out to Orange for not just thinking, yes, I can build a city. I can build a city now, and just eco up. That's going to be fun.
Commander has died.
He had to call though. He had to give up the ghost. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that. And
Battle
this
ended.
again, for any of the new players, if you're watching, please take some of the learnings from that. Be aggressive, make the units, communicate, but also